Hello, everybody, and welcome to the final third. And today we're going to be looking at our Premier League match week 16 predictions. We're almost halfway through the season, guys. It's been a crazy one to say the least. And again, still got a long way to go. But before we get into the prediction video, Al, do you want to reveal the player from the last one?
Yes, it was Theo Walcott. One of the quickest players in the Premier League, to be fair to him. But yeah, that was the player from the last video.
Perfect, thank you very much. Let's just get straight into the predictions, and we're going to start off in the 3 o'clock kickoff. Well, to be fair, there's a lot of 3 o'clock kickoffs this Saturday. It is Chelsea vs Everton. Very interesting game. We'll start off with the predictions, how we did it before, because obviously we had that period where we had to do predictions alongside of the reviews. So what we'll do is it'll be Ali. Hassan, as you can see, is still not here. He's still doing his assignment, so he'll be finishing and should hopefully be on the next video. And then it'll be me. So it'll be Ali, Hassan, me. So Al, what did you predict?
I predicted 2-1 Chelsea, and Hassan also predicted 2-1 Chelsea.
I predicted a 2-2 draw.
Oh.
Now, let me justify that a little bit. I feel like Everton, other than that Newcastle game recently, have been quite good. I thought they've been, very dangerous, going forward, and the 3-0 win against Nottingham Forest is a very convincing win, and it's quite the opposite with Chelsea. They haven't been convincing. They lost to Leeds, they drew with Bournemouth away, who are a team on very bad form. Now, I don't think Chelsea will lose this game, but I do think that it will be a tight game. I think Chelsea need to get a couple goals because they haven't really scored that many in the last couple of games. So I feel like it could be a 2-2 draw because Everton are very dangerous going forward, as we know, with that front four they have. So yeah, that's why I've gone with a draw.
To be honest, even though I've gone for a Chelsea win, I've been looking at it and, and on my TikTok, I'm just getting a bunch of clips and videos of Chelsea fans and just other people just talking about this December curse that Chelsea apparently have and how they can never win in December. And to be fair, after looking at that, I was so close to just giving the win or draw to Everton. However, I just think there's surely no way with the team that Chelsea have, as long as they play their strongest team, I just feel like they surely should win, right? But then again, the last few results have been very poor from Chelsea, and again, they've all been in quite a lot of them been in December, which, I mean, kind of goes in theme with that curse I've been seeing everywhere. But surely I think Chelsea should win. It's in Stamford Bridge as well, which has that really good atmosphere. And yeah, I just think surely they should win. They surely there's just no way in my mind. The only thing I'd say is their defense is shocking, but I think the rest of the team can possibly carry them through. But then again, I don't know. Anything can really happen in this kind of game, especially with the form that Chelsea are on. So, and like you say, Everton, they've been doing really great apart from the 4-1 loss from Newcastle. But then again, they also haven't probably had a very tough opponent since that result. So, you know what I mean? So yeah, I guess this will be a hard game, I think, for them. But you never know. I think Everton have the chance to get something out of this with the attackers they have. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like I said, we said draw. I'm guessing Hassan probably thinks the same thinking as you as well.
Probably.
So yeah, we'll move on to the next one, and it is Liverpool versus Brighton. Al, what have you gone with for that?
I've gone 2-0 Brighton, and Hassan's gone 3-1 Brighton.
I've gone 2-1 Brighton.
Yeah.
So we've all predicted Liverpool. Liverpool losses actually. Yeah.
To be honest, it amazes me myself that I've even gone for this kind of prediction. Just with Liverpool and the team that they have, you would just never think to predict against them in a game like this. But obviously, we know the form that they're in at the moment's absolutely shocking. It's so below standard for them, and considering it's gonna be the one of the worst title defenses ever for sure. And yeah, bro, every time I just think surely they got to win this game. Surely they got win this game, and then they just lose. I mean, except for against my team, of course, because that's just how shit we are. But apart from that, they've lost pretty much all the other games, and I'm surprised Slot is still in his job, if I'm being honest. But yeah, if they lose this game, maybe it will be the last one. Maybe it's the last straw. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. I think Brighton, then they're not a bad team for sure. And I think when they're focused, when they're on it, and when they're playing well, they can beat most teams. To be fair to them, any team really. I think it's just if they're on it on the day, which I think against West Ham they weren't. But again, I think maybe in a game like this they might be able to capitalise. So because of Liverpool's form.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it. Liverpool haven't been convincing. Like we've said in any game this season, even in the West Ham one, they were kind of there for the taking, even though they won that game 2-0. But that's probably the biggest goal margin they won a game by, I think, or probably something along. Oh no, actually, Frankfurt. But we could talk in Premier League. Anyway, I just feel like Liverpool have lost something, and obviously Mo Salah isn't playing, and I don't think he'll play this game. The relationship between him and the manager is obviously in the bin. And he's posting posts about just nothing really, nothing to do with the team. Very important game that they had against Inter, which they won. Which fair play to them, they did win that game, but not convincingly at all. A bit controversial, exactly. So yeah, I feel like Liverpool just aren't the same team they were last season, and I feel like I said, at Anfield, this is the best season you can get a win at Anfield. And I feel like Brighton have the opportunity to go and do that. They are above Liverpool in the league. They are 8th. So, they've done quite well in the circumstances, even though they've been kind of inconsistent, which like the whole league has been. But yeah, I feel like Danny Welbeck will probably get a goal at Anfield. And yeah, well, that's just my feeling, to be honest. And yeah, that's just...
Probably take, advantage of how shit Konate's doing, to be fair. And yeah, probably going to be a hard match up for Konate, which usually you wouldn't say in previous seasons. So it's crazy to think.
100%. Let's move on to the next game. The next game is Burnley versus Fulham. What did you go with for that game?
I've gone 3-1 Fulham, and Hassan's gone 2-0 Fulham.
I've gone also 3-1 Fulham. Again, I feel like Burnley will probably get a goal because they are at home. And with Fulham, they've been dangerous, to say the least, against a lot of teams, especially that Manchester City game. I don't think many people will forget that Manchester City game, to be honest with you.
It goes down in history.
Exactly. I know they lost the last 2 games, but the 2 previous games before that they won, and it was against, to be fair, the last 2 games was against Crystal Palace and Man City, 2 of the probably informed teams in the league. And but you know how Burnley are this season; they're not great at all.
No.
Yeah,
well, I guess we don't expect much. It's a promoted 100%. Side.
Nah, I agree.
Who unlike
but I would say even in the last 5 games, you ideally want a result. This could be a game they get a result in. Because they're a bit desperate and they need to sort of match up on points with West Ham now. Because if they don't win games from now on, I feel like they will sort of be on the level of Wolves. Obviously, Wolves are just a completely different story. But
don't even say that. That's harsh.
But what I'm saying is like they'll sort of be out of the race for staying in the league. If that makes sense.
What you're saying. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like I said though with Burnley, their promoted side, and unlike Sunderland who invested a lot and got a lot of good players into the squad, Burnley and like Leeds just have not done that. However, with Leeds, you can say fair enough. They've gotten some good wins, and that will definitely help them if they're going to stay in the league. However, Burnley, unfortunately, just have not done that. And I don't think they've been able to capitalise on certain games and stuff like that. I just don't think they're good enough, unfortunately. So I think they'll lose this game, and I think they'll go down. So, yeah.
Yeah, agreed. They're not convincing. Even though they made some good signings, hasn't really worked. Kind of feel bad for Scott Parker. But it's we've come to kind of expect a lot of promoted sides to get relegated the next season. Burnley sort of had a bit of a nice start, I guess, but in the end of the day, it looks like they're going to be the other team to be going down. But again, it's a long season, so who knows? We'll move on to the next game, which does involve a probably already relegated side and the top of the league, Arsenal versus Wolves. What did you predict for that game?
I've predicted 4-0 Arsenal, and Hassan's predicted 5-0 Arsenal. So, yeah.
I predicted 5-0 as well, to be fair. What do you think, Al?
I don't know. Like, look, fair enough. I think it's quite obvious why we've predicted these scores, right? I just can't see it surely going more than 4. But then again, I'm pretty sure Arsenal was it? Did they beat Leeds 5-0 or was it
Yeah.
5? Yeah. So and
Or
obviously
5-1,
Wolves.
4-1. Anyway, a big score.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think. I can't remember if it was like 5-1 or something like that, or if it was 5-0.
I can have a look
Nonetheless,
now.
they have the ability to clearly score a lot of goals, right? Haven't necessarily done it in a lot of games. Is one thing I want to talk about really is I think me and Carlos have talked obviously off the podcast about Arsenal a lot and how good they are this season. However, I genuinely don't think this is the most dominant I've seen Arsenal. We've seen Arsenal a couple of seasons ago. I think it was like, in the previous seasons prior, like dominate games more. Like they had more games where they were winning like, 4-5-0 or 4-1 or getting just a lot
Yeah,
more goals. You
it
get
was
what I'm
Declan
saying?
Rice's first season, I
I
think. They
believe so.
won
You
like
get what I'm saying?
seven
They
nil
felt more
and a
dominant then
lot.
than they are now,
Yeah.
and now is probably the best team and squad they've ever had, right? Under Arteta. And yeah, and I feel like it's crazy that there's, in my opinion, a bit of a drop off in terms of quality of play, considering the squad they have, compared to prior seasons, like we talked about, where they were battering a lot of teams, Look, obviously, I still think, Wolves, we're talking about like literally probably the worst Premier League side we've ever seen, right? And, oh, sorry, I just got something on my screen there. And yeah, so it's the worst Premier League side we've ever seen, right? That's why I think Arsenal are going to go on and dominate this game 4-0. One thing I'll give to Wolves is they haven't had many games, I don't think, like, as I would have expected this season, considering how bad they've been, like that. You get what I'm saying? Yes, Man United recently, they just beat them. Man United beat them 4-1. But I don't think there's been a lot of games like that against Wolves. But, look, again, they're the worst team in the in possibly Premier League history. And Arsenal, they're a very, very good team. So, they're probably going to battle them. So...
Yeah, I agree. I feel like watching that game against Manchester United, Wolves just looked absolutely everywhere. Like in terms of, they had no coherence, no urgency. They had nothing. I thought they were absolutely awful. The goal they scored was okay, but I more blame Man United, poor defending and not being able to keep a clean sheet.
Yeah.
But I feel like Arsenal, they do get these odd 5-0, 6-0, 7-0 wins where, it's a team, especially at the Emirates. I feel like they'll keep a clean sheet, even though obviously Gabriel and Saliba aren't available. I feel like they are just a very dangerous team, and I don't see anything but a smashing of Wolves in this game. So that's why I've gone for that score as well. Yeah, not so much and grab, no, a smashing, just an absolute smashing. Yeah. The next game is Crystal Palace and Manchester City. What did you go with for that?
I've gone 3-2 Manchester City, whereas Hassan's gone 2-1 Manchester City.
Gone with another bit of a controversial one. I've gone with 1-1 for a draw, obviously.
I can understand that. I think this might be the game of the weekend. Well, one of the games of the weekend, because there's another one coming up, a bit of a derby we haven't seen for a very long time in the Premier League. But we're not
a bit of a derby,
about that.
a hell of a derby.
We're not on that fixture right now, so let's talk about this one. Manchester City and Crystal Palace, two great sides. Man City going for the title. Obviously, I said in the last video, I think they will win the league. I think Arsenal are going to bottle it. That's just my opinion. I think they just have the mentality. Look, they played, all right, obviously we're recording this on the Wednesday. They just played Madrid. They did win. However, Madrid aren't probably at their best at the moment. So I don't think we can look too much into that about how, Man City might perform in this game. You could argue to do with Crystal Palace and their depth. So they've obviously got the Conference League, I believe, tomorrow as well, Conference League game. And that might affect them because, like we've talked about, with teams like Crystal Palace and the Bournemouths and these kind of teams, the thing that they struggle with the most is the depth. And I think this might affect them because it seems, I don't think they've won a game after playing a Conference League game or something like that. From what I've been,
we did. To be fair, I do remember Man United did beat them after they played a Conference League game. To be fair,
I'm pretty sure I saw a stat about that somewhere where they haven't won a game after playing a Conference League game. So. And it's not like it's an easy game at all either. They got Man City, who, have been playing absolutely brilliantly recently. So, yeah, I think that's why I think it's gonna be a Man City win, but I do think it'll be a close one as well. That's why I've made it 3-2. And to be fair, I think it could be a goal fest. But then again, with Palace's defense, maybe not. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the reason why went with a 1-1 draw. I feel like, again, Palace are at home. I'd give them maybe a slight advantage in that sense, but obviously Man City being in brilliant form, like you said, they just beat Real Madrid. Um, and yeah, like you say, I think Palace's defense is just absolutely solid in the formation they play and the system they've built. Obviously, we've seen Palace beat Manchester City in the FA Cup final last season, which was obviously the biggest game in their history,
Mm.
and rightfully so, obviously winning a trophy. They're kind of a bogey team, I think, for Manchester City. I'm not saying they're going to win the game because Man City are so good, but I believe that there is an opportunity for Palace to sort of frustrate City and get a result in the game. Yeah, and that's just my opinion on the game, to be honest. And yeah, we'll move on to the next one, and it is Nottingham Forest versus Tottenham. What did you go with that one for, Al?
I've gone
Or for that one?
2. Yeah, I've gone 2-0 Tottenham, and Hassan's gone 3-1 Tottenham.
I went 2-1 Tottenham as well. So
Yeah, fair enough. We know Tottenham. They have a good squad. They do have a good manager, in my opinion. I know some of the fans have, said, that they're not a fan of the manager, but personally, I am. Okay, and I think once he gets a bit more of his players into the team, that he can do much better. But I just think at the moment he maybe hasn't got a lot of the players that he'd like. Um, Look, and as well, we know their away form this season has been what's kind of more carrying them through. The home form has been abysmal, even though, to be fair to them, they just won at home for pretty much the first time, I think, this season in the Prem. And obviously Nottingham Forest did just get battered by Everton. Look, Nottingham Forest not a bad side at all. However, I think without Murillo, I don't know if he's still out, but if he is still out, then I think that's going to be a big factor on why I think Tottenham can win this game. Look, obviously it isn't like, if Murillo's not there, then Nottingham Forest can't win any games. But he's such a key part of that defence and how they operate that when he's not there, you can clearly see the impact that he has when he's not there. So yeah, that's why I think, because I don't think he's just good defensively. I think taking that ball and bringing it into the midfield and getting play started, I think he's really good. And yeah, and I think it's very vital for that. But again, they've got very good players, Nottingham Forest. We talked about it. Elliot Anderson, Morgan Gibbs-White. They got a lot of good players. So yeah, I think they aren't a bad team, but I think they will lose this game, personally.
yeah, yeah, I agree. I just feel like Tottenham, they've kind of built a bit of momentum right now. Um, yeah, I mean Forest, they're still just above the relegation zone, so it's still not a great season for them. They were on a good vein of form right at the beginning, sort of a new manager bounce with Sean Dyche, but they've been a bit the last couple of games, to say the least. They lost the previous game. And Tottenham, I believe, they won their last game in the Prem, and obviously they beat Slavia Prague yesterday, as we are recording. I would say two convincing sort of wins in the sense that Xavi Simon's starting to pick up a bit of form too, scored in the last two games, and I think he can be a vital player. Because obviously we discussed him earlier this season and how, sort of a player like that needs time to embed, still young, come into the Premier League. And to be fair to him, in the last two games, he's been quite good. If he can keep that form up, he can, be that player that we said Tottenham needed. The attacking midfielder, the chance creator, the dictator of play. And he's got the quality to be that and do that consistently for Tottenham. So if he can play, I feel like Tottenham will win. So that's why I went with the 2-1 win. Now moving on to the derby of the weekend, and it is Sunderland v Newcastle. Finally in the Premier League. Last time was 2017. So,
Damn.
what did you go with for that game?
I've gone 2-1 Sunderland, and Hassan's gone 1-1.
Oh, I gone 2-1 Sunderland as well.
I think, look, I know Sunderland have dropped off a little. However, we've talked about where they're so good, and it is at home. Yeah, that's where they've got most of their wins. And obviously they're at home in this game. And yeah, I think with because they've also kept a lot of the players that were meant to go AFCON for this game, I think that's a massive advantage. And I think Sunderland, they've just been cooking, man. And, Xhaka has been really, carrying the team, showing his experience, really embedding his experience, I'd say, into the squad and into the rest of the players and really, carrying them and leading them. And some of their players that they have are just really good players. You got the Ronaldo. I don't know how to say his name, the defender, but he's really good
The
for. He's
left
been
back,
really
yeah.
good. Yeah, he's been really good for them. Mukiel's been great. Even the keeper, I think, has been pretty good. To be fair to him. And yeah, no, Isidore not been too shabby, I guess. And yeah, no, they've just been a great team. Obviously a very surprising team, to say the least. Because let's be fair, I don't think anyone thought Sunderland would do this well. Um, and Newcastle, on the other hand, they've been really good, and especially in recent weeks. Obviously they did just get a win against Burnley. However, I do think there's still some chinks in the armor, and I do think sometimes they lose maybe a bit of focus or stuff like that. Even against Burnley, you could see there was a bit of chinks in their armor and the way they were playing, and they got Burnley took advantage of it, and they did get a goal. And yeah, so I think Newcastle aren't just yet stable enough and consistent enough for me to strongly believe that they can win this game. But yeah, I think they're not bad at all either. So I think it will definitely be a very good game, and I can't wait to see how it ends. To be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like you say, Stadium of Light is massive, and obviously, I feel like the atmosphere will be about 10 times better because it is this derby, this one that I think both fans have been waiting for quite a while. You know, both teams looking very good this season. This might be the highest quality version of this game in a long time, and it's going to be very interesting to watch. We did back Sunderland, both of us, me and Al. Obviously, just because I feel like we said, the Stadium of Light, but I feel like there is sort of a vibe around Sunderland, even though, like Al was saying, the form hasn't been very good. The new signings came in and really did embed. I just feel like maybe they're lacking that striker, which obviously we said that about Newcastle earlier in the season. Now they got Voltemada, who's doing very well. But on the Sunderland side of things, they do need to invest in a striker in January if they wanted to make a push for Europe, I believe. Obviously, we saw that chance against Liverpool where they could have won that game near the end.
Yeah.
And he basically shot it straight at Chiesa. It's pretty much a pass, to be honest, not even a shot. Yeah, they need a clinical striker, and I feel like there's definitely a chance to sort of get one and convince one to come to Sunderland right now with the team they've built. So yeah, I feel like Sunderland are quite good. And I also Newcastle played today, as of Wednesday.
Yeah.
They played Bayern Leverkusen and they conceded late again. 88th minute from Grimaldo goal. So yeah, they look kind of vulnerable. But like I said, it's going to be a great game, and I'm very excited to see what happens in it and how it pans out. So we'll move on to the next game, and it is Al's beloved West Ham versus the informed team of the league, Aston Villa. What do you
Oh
think?
man, I've gone 3-1 Aston Villa, and Hassan's gone 3-2 Aston Villa.
I've gone 3-1 Aston Villa too.
Look, man, there's not much I can say. I mean, look, first of all, Villa, like we just said, are the most informed team in the league. Um, so yeah, and West Ham at the moment, we haven't been great. I know, look, in the Brighton game, we did get robbed. Definitely got robbed. However, the amount of chances we had in that game to score and we did not take them is also on us. We could have won that game and we should have won that game, bar the VAR controversy, right? It was on. I think it's more on us that we didn't win that game than just VAR, because if we just take our chances, we don't have to rely on VAR to save us to win this game. But then again, we obviously go to talk about Villa, who have been absolutely amazing. There's been certain games, yes, they've scraped a win, through individual brilliance. But at the end of the day, that's just how good some of the players are. They getting these wins, getting these goals, and obviously the last game, against against Arsenal, and they beat them. and they've closed. They've made the title race much closer now. And yeah, I think we'll get battered. So not ideal, really, especially with the defense we have. Yeah, I don't know. I probably expect us to play a really defensive squad, probably similar to what we played against Brighton. And if we don't play a striker, if we don't play Wilson, then we're extremely cooked, to say the least.
Yeah, I feel like, with the West Ham side of things, they've been, okay, maybe
Since
kind of
Nuno's come
fair
in, we
to
actually
say.
haven't been that bad, but we
Yeah,
just
you've
need
not
to
been that
get
bad at
some
all,
wins.
It's just obviously the situation you're in,
Yeah.
the mentality of the players right now. It's kind of hard for him to get a result. I mean, listen, if you were to get a result in this game, fair play to Nuno, but
What I'm
I've looked
saying
at
is Villa
Aston
have to
Villa's
lose at
form.
some point.
That's not, yeah, yeah, 100%. I feel like, look, if you look at Aston Villa's set of games, it
Yeah.
started off with a win against Bologna in September, and they had won. Let me have a look. 1, 2,
Isn't it
3,
like
4,
8 games?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Is that including
And they only lost
Europe?
two games in that run. And that was Liverpool, and they lost against Go Ahead Eagles, which was like just probably their backup team. So they are form is a bit of an understatement. They are on fire, to say the least. And I actually wish West Ham a lot of luck in this game, because I feel like it could even be more, to be honest.
I
And
don't
West Ham
think
haven't been great at home either.
I don't think a Christmas miracle could even save West Ham at this rate.
Listen, you never know. You never know. The way you've been playing, you might get that
I don't
result.
think we've
But
been.
like,
I don't think we've been bad in recent games. That's all I'll
no,
say. I
100%. But
genuinely think
like
we've been
again,
good.
you
Yeah,
said this a
it's
lot
just
about
the finishing.
a lot of runs.
Yeah,
They have to come to an end at some point. Do you think you can be that team? That's the question. Will West Ham
absolutely
end the run?
fucking not.
You never know.
Bye, pray.
Yeah,
Bye, pray.
yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. That's all you can do, unfortunately.
Literally.
Yeah,
At this rate.
but yeah. So yeah, we think that's going to be a Villa win, unfortunately for West Ham. Moving on to the next game, it is Brentford versus Leeds. Another interesting game. Both teams. I'll tell you what, Brentford not been as good as we had thought. They had good games, but they haven't been consistent enough.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Leeds in the last two games got very good results. Prior to that, were very poor. An interesting game. I think both teams need the win. What did you predict for it, Al?
I've gone 3-1 Brentford, and so has Hassan. He's also gone 3-1 Brentford.
I've gone 3-1 Brentford too.
Wow.
So we've all gone for the same score.
Hey,
I feel like it's kind of written in the
nice.
stars, because listen, I feel like with Brentford
It's
at
the home form, though. They've been.
it's the home form. It is the home form.
That's where they've been good, and
Yeah.
they are a good team. And look, the only thing I will say for Leeds, they've got some good momentum at the moment. Obviously, they just drew to Liverpool. Before that, they beat Chelsea. Those are some very hard games, and Daniel Farke's job was on the line, and those were the two games to save him. Imagine, probably thought he had no hope, and somehow managed to get two amazing results out of them. And yeah, fair play to Leeds. They've shown very good resilience against Liverpool, and even against Chelsea. That was just a hell of a game from them. And the only thing, if it was at Ellen Road, I'd probably give them the win. Again, I think for both these teams at the moment, it's just home form. Whoever's at home wins that game, in my opinion. And because Brentford are at home, I think they win this game.
I agree. Yeah. Listen, Brentford have quality. Igor Thiago. I still believe I think he's still the second top goal scorer in the league.
So.
I feel like there is, like you say, momentum at home, away from home, quite the opposite, to say the least. Against big teams, they're winning at home, Brentford. But again, you just never know. This is the Premier League, and this is why it's so exciting. We think Brentford are going to win because of their home form, but you never know. Leeds could come and use that form they built against Chelsea and Liverpool. Score 3 goals against the traditional top 6 sides in the last 2 games, obviously. If they score a couple goals against Brentford, it could make it a bit of a nervy game. You never know how it could end, but we back Brentford because of the home form, and Yeah, I think it's fair to say that, to be honest. Yeah, that's pretty much all we can say about that game.
Yep.
And we'll move on to the final game of the weekend. Manchester United versus Bournemouth. What have you gone with for that game?
I've gone 2-0 Manchester United, whereas Hassan's gone 2-1 Manchester United.
I've gone with a 2-1 win as well. Now, if you don't mind, let me just let me cook a little bit.
For it, man.
Listen, we talked about how Manchester United's run of games has been an interesting one, to say the least. They probably should have won a lot more than they have. Obviously, West Ham, we lost the lead quite late. The loss against Everton should probably not have happened. I mean, it's against 10 men at home, and the red card was in the first 10 minutes. Even the prior draws to that. But I feel like with Bournemouth's form as well, they have not been good. Obviously, they did get that draw against Chelsea, but that is at home. You probably to be fair, you back most teams at home, and yeah, like you said, you expect more. I think Semenyo did score in that game, but it was disallowed quite early on.
Yeah.
But I feel like with Man United, it won't be as convincing against Wolves, because Wolves were obviously woeful, and that is probably one of the worst teams I've seen us play. And we rightfully beat them 4-1, but can we do it against a side who are more solid defensively and have more of a structure? Where Wolves, literally, there was no structure, pure vibes.
But you're better off just playing like a Sunday league team at that rate.
Honestly, with the form that they're on, listen, I feel bad. We don't want to keep on going at Wolves, but it's just the facts of the matter. And I feel like you don't want to overexcite yourself, because United are in a good position now. They win, and let's say Chelsea or Palace drop points, we go up to 4th. You know what I mean? Which is very, very good. But I don't know. It can be a very close game. But if the players that perform really well, which to be fair, I think everyone performed well against Wolves, if they can perform in this game and sort of go against a side who have not been good, then I feel like we can also get a result and get the win in this game. But again, it's a late one on a Monday. Everyone's watching. Everyone wants Man United to lose. Will it happen, is the question.
I think the biggest thing in this game, and a big problem, I think maybe in some of the games where United have lost the lead and maybe not got over the line, is genuinely mentality of some of the players. I still think the mentality of some of these players is just not up to it yet, and that's why you haven't got some of the results you should have. And like you say, 8 o'clock on a Monday, they need to be focused. They need to have the right mentality. Like, I think against West Ham was a good example. They were 1-0 up, and I think it just wasn't enough pressure from them, to be honest, after that. And obviously West Ham go and take the lead. There wasn't enough focus on the corner from some of the players. So, yeah, it's just mentality, in my opinion. Focus and mentality from the United players that need to improve. And I think that'll come with a bit more time under Amorim. And again, I said in the last video, and I'm just going to say it again, I think there's been unnecessary hate towards Amorim. And even some of the players, I've seen some people talking about Cunha not being that good, which was blasphemous, to say the least. But yeah, no, I think United will comfortably win this game, because not comfortably, but I think they will win this game, because I think they are a good squad. They have been playing really well, and I think it's been blown out of proportion with the way they, with some of the fixtures, people making out as if they've been like an awful or something, but they haven't been. They've been good. But
I feel like the thing that with sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I feel like the thing with Manchester United, second balls, there's sort of a lack of fight, if that makes sense. They don't really force it. They don't, like you were saying with mentality. I just feel like our players are quality footballers, but there is not enough fight. They don't work enough as a team in these type of games. I mean, against Wolves, they're a team that are already down. You know what I mean? If you don't win that game, it's embarrassing. 100%. And in this one, I feel like you should be winning it as well. But again, Bournemouth can definitely give you a good game. They have dangerous threats. So, it could be closer than people think. So we'll have to wait and see. And defensively, obviously, United aren't very good either. They've only kept one clean sheet this season. I think only West Ham have only kept one clean sheet as well, which is shocking to say the least, because we're third in the goal scoring rankings, and we have the most one of the most expected goals and most shots on target. Going forward is not an issue. But it's the defense. Even though I praise the defense, and it'd be quite good.
Some of the players are still getting used to that system in defense. That's what I will say.
And I'll also give some credit to two players, Aiden Heaven, who I already said in the last video, for someone to come in and have 100% passing accuracy, look really solid, look unfazed. And I know it's against the Wolves side that was on their, like we said, on their knees. But yeah, I feel like he was really solid, and he'll probably play again unless Mateus de Ligt is back, which I don't think he is, and Mateus Cunha as well. I don't need to say much. Like, he was great in that game. Held the ball up really well. Great flicks. Got an assist. Okay, the assist wasn't very nice, and it wasn't a really clean goal, but he did get the assist at the end of the day. And I really feel like he was unlucky not to score as well. Had a goal line clearance against him. I feel like once he gets that goal, he'll start to pick up that form, and be the sort of Mbermo type as well. So they'll like sort of bounce off each other, if that makes sense. And yeah, it's quite exciting, to be honest. And I hear Benjamin Sesko's back too, so that's also something else to add. But that is it. I waffled a lot about Manchester United. Sorry, Al, and sorry, guys, but got a bit excited. Yeah. Before we do end the video, Al, do you want to give us the quiz for the next player?
Yes, let's start with the first fact. Before joining Manchester City's academy, he originally trained with Oldham Athletic, who later received a compensation fee after he moved. The second fact, his debut England goal came in a Euro 2008 qualifier against Israel, making him one of the youngest England defenders ever to score in a competitive match. The third fact, he played every minute of Manchester City's 2007-08 Premier League season until a knee injury ended his run, one of the longest consecutive minute streaks by a young defender at the time. And for the fourth fact, while on loan at Fiorentina, he made only a handful of Serie A appearances, but did play in the Europa League, becoming one of the few English defenders of that era to appear in the competition. And for the fifth and the final fact, despite being a defender, he was known for his explosive pace. His sprint metrics at City placed him among the club's top 3 fastest players, even compared to wingers. Let us know if you know who that is in the comments, and we'll reveal him in the next video.
Very interesting player by the sounds of it. Yeah, thank you guys for coming in. We really appreciate your time. Like we said, obviously, sorry for Hassan not being here. He will be back in the next video. And yeah, I don't think we should. Do you want to add anything else, Al, for the video? Or?
Not really.
There we are. That's it. Thank you guys for coming in. Really appreciate your time. Please leave a like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell so you get notified when we upload videos. And we'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys.
Take care.